Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. As most of you are probably well aware, the gaming industry always goes into this, let's call it a state of hibernation at the end of a year after the holidays are over. Now, in this period, we don't really see any new games coming up or any updates and patches being provided for existing ones. Sadly, this also includes our favorite developers over at ArenaNet, even they need a break once in a while. But a few weeks into the new year, when we see the industry slowly awaking from their well-deserved slumber, ArenaNet seems to be in full-on working mode already. Not only did we get information about the upcoming patches at the end of January and somewhere in February, but rather a preview of the first half of the year 2013 and sometimes even beyond that. Of course, the information gets more and more vague the further we go into the future, but still there's some good stuff in there. So without further ado, my name is Chronic Gamer and you're watching the Bookah report for the 26th of January 2013. As the keen observer might have already noticed, I'm trying out a bit of a change of format for the Bookah report, hence my face. Therefore, I'd like to hear your opinions in the comments whether or not I should stick with this format or just change back to the old one. But enough about me, let's get to the good stuff. One of the most desired features in Guild Wars 2, if not the most desired one, has to be guesting. The idea of freely switching between worlds was introduced to us even before the beta had begun. The button that would soon give us the freedom of playing with our friends even if they weren't quite willing to follow us to our server was in the beta, but proceeded to taunt us with its distinct inability of performing the task it was meant to. With the launch of Guild Wars 2, the feature was officially set aside for further development, and even though we were allowed to transfer server free of charge, it still felt like there was a major part of the game missing. We have now been informed that the feature was basically ready for implementation for the last two patches, only so that a major bug could appear at the last minute and delay it even further. But your torment shall soon find its end. Next Monday, on January 28th, guesting will be implemented into Guild Wars 2, and then you can roam between the worlds however you want. Okay, well, basically however you want. There are a few restrictions, but in my opinion pretty reasonable ones. The first restriction would be that you are limited to only 2 guest worlds every day. So in a 24-hour period you can be on your home world and 2 guest worlds of your choosing. You can switch between the 3 however often you please, but not to a third guest world. To do that you have to wait until the day is over and your guest slots are free again. Then you can switch to the next world, which will then of course take up one of your 2 guest slots for the day. One restriction that will probably surprise no one is that World vs. World is still limited to only your home world. So if you want to play World vs. World on another server, you'll have to do a transfer to it. Guesting will also be limited to only one region, so either North America or Europe. The reason for this is that in the process of guesting, your character data will not be moved to another data center, which then, with guesting from North America to Europe or vice versa, would just result in a number of technical and performance issues. With the implementation of guesting, server transfers will no longer be free. You will have to invest in a certain amount of gems to transfer to another server. So, with the region restriction in mind, be careful where you are come January 28th. We don't know how much exactly it will cost to transfer a server, but we know that it will depend on the population of the server you want to transfer to. So, the higher the population of the server, the more it will cost to transfer to it, and vice versa, the lower the population, the cheaper it will be. But there is still a restriction on transferring to full servers, so no matter how much you are willing to pay, that will not be available. Music plays a big part in Guild Wars 2, and not only in the form of soundtracks. With the implementation of in-game musical instruments like the bell choir assembly or the underwater pipe organ, it was pretty obvious that some people would just go on and push it to the extremes. Of course, with varying degrees of success. Hexer from his channel Marvelous1 definitely belongs into the more successful categories. His first GW2 music video, in which he reproduced Michael Jackson's Billie Jean using the bell choir assembly, was already pretty damn impressive, and definitely way beyond any of my abilities. But his new music video, in which he used a combination of the underwater pipe organ and the Winter's Day bell in order to reproduce Portal's Still Alive, is just unbelievable. Just take a look at a short clip. Just click on the annotation about here to get to the entire video and witness its glory. I would also advise you to take a look at the description of the video, where he describes how much effort he actually put into the making of it. And we even have a second musical news today. ArenaNet has updated their official SoundCloud account with a few new soundtracks. Besides some, well, normal soundtracks, you can listen to the melodic voice of MacLean the Minstrel.
La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, la, la. La, la. La.
Or even some rather entertaining voiceover outtakes.
Sparkles! Mr. Sparkles, you're the best!
Let's see. There was me Heather. Poor sweet Heather. Blown overboard in that storm. Help me, please help me. Help me.
The information about all the good things that are coming our way in the first half of 2013 came from a variety of sources. There was an ArenaNet blog post, some stuff in the forums, from 2 live streams, and so on. So I'm just gonna compile it in one bulk of information instead of listing all the sources all the time. But if you want to read every last detail, the sources are of course in the description below this video. One thing I want to point out though is the MMORPG interview with Colin Johanson. I personally get pretty annoyed when I'm watching interviews with the ArenaNet staff because they are just too damn good at politician speak. Always these endless sentences without really any information in them whatsoever. Of course, I know they can't talk about everything, but still, I'm pretty annoyed by it. What can I do? But this video is a little bit different. There is lots of information, either, well, a combination of good questions and good answers to the questions, some jokes here and there, and just a completely different vibe to it, at least from my experience with the interviews that I have watched in the past. So what exactly can we look forward to in 2013? Well, let's start with World vs. World. Although culling has its effect on the entire game, it is safe to say that the biggest effect is in World vs. World. It is also safe to say that I don't really understand how it works, at least not completely, but the basic idea is that it's about what you see on your screen and what you don't see. Or rather, what is loading in and what's not. Unnecessary parts of the models around you will not load in and therefore save in performance. For example, a player that is very far away, or just a tree behind a wall. In and of itself, a great idea, but when applied to the large scale of World vs. World, it presents a variety of problems. One example would be that a character just a few yards away would not load in at all because there were 100 that were closer to you. There were also some problems with character models taking too long to load in when, for example, coming out of stealth. Colin Johanson mentioned that in order to get rid of all the problems with the culling system, they basically had to rebuild the entire system from the ground up. One solution they want to apply is that soon you will have a fallback model of every gender, race and armor type combination in the game on your PC that doesn't have to load in. So that if it takes too long for a character model to load in, you have your fallback model. And of course, the better your computer, the less fallback models you will experience in-game. Another area they want to improve is the reward system. They want to improve the feeling of personal progression in World vs. World so that you have another motivation besides just server pride to get you into battle. They also want to achieve that you will have a reason to fight at every last moment of the entire battle, so that you won't just give up after 4 days if you don't see any hope for your server to win the battle. Two of the ways in which they hope to achieve these goals are that they want to improve recognition. For example, that you will be known as the Blue Emperor instead of just Blue Invader. And also World vs. World specific abilities as part of the personal progression system. In PvE, ArenaNet's goal is to first strengthen the existing content before just moving on and running off to doing completely new things. There is definitely new content to come, but the priority seems to be to strengthen the core of the game. Besides just adding new events to the maps to get more variety in them, they also want to rework the achievement system in order to give players a reason to revisit the old maps and maybe drive the player to areas they have previously not visited. Daily achievements will be improved in a two-step process. In the first step, they will create subgroups of achievements that change from day to day, where you maybe will have to complete 4 out of 6 achievements in order to get the overall reward. In the second step, they will have added a lot of new achievements, and you can therefore choose from a variety of achievements from an achievement pool and can really personalize your experience so that you don't have to do anything you don't enjoy in the game in order to get the rewards you want. The biggest thing for PvE, however, seems to be that ArenaNet wants to redesign most of the old bosses in the dungeons and the open world to be more like the fractal bosses with multiple stages and also a greater variety of abilities. This change also includes that they want to get rid of res rushing, which basically means you die at a boss, you go to the nearest waypoint, run into the fight again, and so on and so on. They want to disable the option of resurrection whilst a team member is in combat, and then of course also recalibrate the bosses so that they are doable without the option of res rushing. In order to take on all of these nicely redesigned bosses, you of course will have to find a group. And to make that process a bit easier, ArenaNet now wants to implement an in-game LFG tool. It's going to take some of the features from the already available third-party one, but of course it's going to be in-game, and simply that is enough reason to use it instead of the third-party one. ArenaNet also stated that it's definitely not going to be as automated as the dungeon finder in World of Warcraft, because they think it takes too much away from the social experience of being in a group. So a less automated version of that for pretty much anything in available in Guild Wars 2, not only dungeons. Guilds will receive some love as well. Somewhere in early 2013 we will see content that is specifically created to be completed by guilds, and also some content that will be created by the guilds themselves that then can be completed by everyone else. A nice recruiting tool, for example, and just, I hope, some fun content created by players for players. What exactly this content will be is not known as of yet, so let the speculations begin. And now let's go over to PvP. Custom arenas are soon to come. These will be servers you rent from ArenaNet on which you can host your own private PvP session. You will also be able to change the rules in a certain way, not so far as to creating an entirely new game type, but you can change some stuff so that maybe to create certain training conditions for your team. ArenaNet is finally working on a spectators mode for their game. This is a pretty essential step on getting into the esports scene. There's just no way you're getting people to watch your games if you don't have the right tools in order to show what is going on, and nobody can really commentate what is happening. So I personally would have hoped that they've gotten around to it a bit sooner, but better late than never. Another step into the esports direction is that ArenaNet now wants to implement official leaderboards on their webpage, as well as, of course, rankings and the implementation of a matchmaking system. They also mentioned that they want to make the PvP experience more beginner-friendly. And I would say that a matchmaking system is definitely a step in the right direction, because you can expect new players to hold on to playing a game if they join a game and just get the crap kicked out of them because they're matched up against the best players in the world. After all of that, let's take a look into the immediate future. On January 28th, we will experience the Flame and Frost PreLoot, which is the prologue to a multi-stage narrative which will then in the future bring us lots of change into the world of Tyria. But the PreLoot seems to be quite interesting itself. Well, the entire north of Tyria basically gets punched in the face by Mother Nature or some other yet unknown force. And this of course means that the Norn and the Char are scattered all over the place. Okay, it's maybe a bit more serious, but well, take a look at the website. There's a specific website for the Flame and Frost PreLoot. The link will be down in the description. But besides just some lore stuff, you will also have some pretty nice features with the patch on January 28th. So let's take a look at that. I've already mentioned a couple of the features, but there's even more. For example, the Temple of the Silent Storms week, in which the normal paid tournaments will be replaced by 2-team single-round tournaments in the map Temple of the Silent Storm. Colin Johanson had mentioned something about King of the Hill type tourneys on the Temple of the Storms map, so I don't exactly know if it's going to be that or if they just changed the plans, because there in the official blog post there's nothing mentioned about King of the Hill type. But I guess we will see. What is definitely sure is that after the week, Temple of the Silent Storm will become part of the normal tourney map rotation. Another new feature are Laurels. They were originally named Crowns, but apparently Crowns translates into some sort of bad word in another language. I'm German, it's not German. I tried to look up Spanish and French and didn't find anything, so if you speak a language in which the translation of crown equals some sort of foul language, then let me know in the comments, because I'm interested. Maybe we can uncover some secret plans of a new language added to Guild Wars 2 or something like that. So let me know in the comments. But anyhow, so Laurels are a new currency, which basically only means that it doesn't take up any backspace. You can earn them by completing achievements. You get 1 laurel for a daily achievement and 10 laurels for a monthly. With them you can buy a variety of things from a vendor, which would be ascended gear, different infusions, and some fun stuff like a tonic that will transform you into a cat. Or the best thing, a mini pet that is called Chauncey von Sniffles. Best name ever in my opinion. The purpose of the Laurels is basically that they want to provide players with the opportunity of acquiring items that are currently very restricted to a certain area or a certain part of the game, a specific activity, and therefore very rare. So basically to get it out into the public. So, we have covered all the big stuff. If you want to know every last detail, then I would strongly advise you to take a look at the description. I have put all the links there. Take the links to the sources and, well, read it yourself. But that's all for today's Bookah report. But as always, I have the annoying list of stuff to do with which you can help me. I'm a new YouTuber I need to ask, otherwise I'll never get anywhere. So leave your opinion about the new format in the comments, or in general your opinion in the comments. Leave a like or a dislike, whatever you favor, and you can subscribe. And one of the biggest things you can help is tell your friends. If you like my videos, tell your friends about me. That always helps a lot. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. My name is Chronic Gamer. I'll see you next time.